Hello everyone. So today I am going to show you how you can achieve resin look top and bottom of your piece, or front and back, and this is really quite easy thing to do. It's not difficult. Obviously once you've done one side and it's cured fully, turn it over to the other side, and what I've done on the edges here is I've just used some of the wonderful, I call it liquid gold, Tiny Pandora brush on UV resin, and that I just filled the edges in, and it's just so simple and it just finishes your piece off, I think, a bit nicer. So I'm just going to show you with these pieces I've got here, or at least a couple of them, and I've got one that's a sort of a bit of a mishmash of bits and pieces of clay, but it just seemed quite nice, and I've also got some earrings of the same type of thing, and you can see just how thin this is. Very bendy, but obviously the resin will stiffen that up, and I think it will make a really pretty pendant. Now the way I would do this is I would use a little bit of clay, just pop it on the back, just stick it there like so, and then with my clay that I've just covered in some tin foil, I'll put that to one side so I can make more pieces. I'm just going to flatten that down so as it just sits there, and hopefully that's as level as I can get it. I'm not too sure. Always hold it up. Excuse me, I'm going out to shop for a minute. Yes, I think that's nearly right. So all I'm going to do is with the Lisa Pavelka, got it right this time, Magis-Glos, and I always stand mine up in a little pot or something. It's not essential, but it does help, and it helps to reduce bubbles as well. But on that note, have yourself a little torch ready. You can just get rid of bubbles, that always helps. And all I'm going to do first of all is just run this around the edge. Just going to turn my UV light on. I'm just going to run this around the edge, just gently. That way you won't get the pullback you normally get when you do the infill. And it just makes it a little bit easier. You can use a little tool which will help draw it out to the sides, and I can show you the sort of things you can use if you're not familiar with playing with any sort of resin. And the beauty of this is obviously it's UV, so it will cure under a UV lamp and also in the sun. I'm not too sure how long it will take in the sun. Now all I do with this is I just bring it to my edge, just so as I can get a nice neat edge on it. And once that's cured, I will then infill the middle. This is going to give it a nice, really good glossy shine, and obviously protect it a bit as well. Not that you need to protect necessarily polymer clay, because it's pretty sturdy in its own right. I'm just going to make sure I've got that as far over the edge as I can without it actually dripping, and don't worry if it does, because you can soon mop it up. And then that's just going to go into my lamp probably for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then I will do the infill. And the next thing on my list will be the curing deck that Tiny Pandora has. Wonderful piece of kit, so that will be next on my list to get. And the tools that you can use for putting your resin out, this is just a really small little acrylic rod, which actually came with the bottle of the Lisa Pavelka when I ordered it. I'm not sure that they do them anymore. Also you can get the Magis-Glos from Tiny Pandora, and you can use a pin tool, you can use a toothpick, anything that really, you know, you can lay your hands on that's obviously a little pointy. And I've just made a little gadget to stand mine in so I don't lose it. So shortly we'll get that out and I can show you how to do the infill. So that's all nicely cured, and you can always tell just by giving it a bit of tap. And all I'm going to do now is infill, and it's so easy. And you just want to put enough down, and don't worry about the bubbles, we'll sort those out. Just put enough down in the middle to start with without going too mad, and then I'm just going to start moving it out towards the edge and just over that rim as well, so we don't get a little bump. Just take it out slowly, just so as it can sort of grab hold of that, and then it won't pull back anymore. And you'll probably find with a piece this size that you'll want some more. But I just want to get to those edges first of all. And it really is so nice to be able to have something that cures very quickly and to a really good hard surface as well, which makes life great when it's making these sort of pendants. And this really is just a scrap piece of clay, for want of a better word. It's just some really leftover pieces that I just rolled the whole thing into a sheet and just cut some shapes out. I just thought they were nice colours and a bit autumnal, I suppose you could say, and being as we're getting to that stage now this year already, I thought they would work quite well. So I'm just going to take this up and over the edge, and I can already feel that I'm going to need to put some more in, otherwise I will have that ridge showing. But once you've got the initial amount down, then it makes it quite easy to put some more on. And although this may be a small bottle, it does go quite a long way. And no, it's not particularly cheap, but it's good stuff. It works, it lasts. I haven't had any piece yet on me yellow, and I've been using this for, crikey, 4 or 5 years at least, and I find it absolutely brilliant. I like resin too, but this is great if you want that instant result, and especially for jewellery pieces. It just makes, you know, little things pop. I think it's brilliant for when you've got mica powder and stuff. It really does make it shine, and of course it is a protective coating as well, which is what you need for things like that. So just take your time, slowly bringing it over that edge, just so as you know you're not going to get a sort of a ridge. And like I say, give it a minute as well to settle, and then you'll see whether you're going to need to have any more, need to use any more. And then all I'm going to do is just use my torch and just get rid of those little bubbles. Some of them can be a bit stubborn. And like I say, once again, just bring it up. I don't know how well you'll be able to see that, but just bring it up and you can see how level it is, and whether you need to add maybe another layer. And I might do, but I'm just going to let that sit just for a second before I put it in, and just make sure that it's as good as I can get it for now. And then that piece will go in, and I will put that in for at least 10 minutes under the UV light, just so as I can make sure it is properly cured. And like I say, we'll have a look and see whether we need to put another coat on. So I'll see you again in a moment. Okay, so I did actually end up putting another coat on the top. So that's had 2 coats on the top with the rim put on first of all. And all I'm going to do now is just flip it over and do exactly the same on the back. Once I've done that, then I would just do my edges. You could actually do your edges now, thinking about it, so I might give that a go this time. And all I'm going to do is pour the smallest amount I possibly can of this wonderful DeepShine into a little, I mean literally a small amount. You really do not need very much of this. Just going to get my brush, just get that last little drip there. Don't want to waste any. This is liquid gold, she says, throwing a brush everywhere. Okay, just get that right out of the light, and I'll make sure I scoop this bit up too. And then all I'm going to do is literally just go around the edge, just so as I can get that edge in. And it's so thin, so you're not going to notice it that much. You really do only need a very, very small amount, and it's just about just dabbing it on there really. And then this will go back underneath the light for about 2 or 3 minutes just to set that. And what I do is I actually set it on top of one of these little tops that I've got here that I've actually got the DeepShine in. That way it just raises it up, make sure nothing will get stuck to your piece of foil or the tray that you use to put your piece in, just making sure that you're not catching your edges. And it really is that easy. Just a little dab, and that just finishes that edge off really nicely, I think, and no one would know. And smooth it out, just make sure it settles, and all I do is just get a little lid and just set that down on top of it, so it's that way it can cure at the sides, and then I'll put that back in. And that will only take about 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll do the reverse. Okay, so I've just turned it over, and I've literally just put a little bit of clay again underneath, and I've just put the rim round, and I'm just going to do the infill again in the middle. And this is where Lisa Pavelka Magis-Glos is just really so good. It's very, very hard wearing, and it's just very easy to use, and if you just apply that DeepShine on the edges, it just gives it a really, really finished look. And I just really like the fact that something that was just some leftover clay has been used. I mean, it's just going to make a very simple, easy pendant, and also some earrings. I won't do them all today, but it just shows you flat pieces like this, how you can really make them quite a difference, actually make a piece look really, really stunning by adding some resin, especially being as it was so thin. I just thought it would be nice to make it a little bit thicker without having to do anything else with it as far as claying on top of it or underneath or adding it back. I just thought this would be the easiest way. I always have to just pick mine up just to make sure that I've got those edges, and I can see whether I'm actually just going over the edges, just so as it's not, like I say, sometimes you may need to add another layer, it just depends. When it sort of has time to settle, I always just wait just a minute just to see whether it's going to pull in at all. But really, to use this stuff, it really doesn't have to be hard. It just takes a little bit of time, and it's not a rush thing. You just need to gently with this stuff, really. But it's very rewarding when you do, I think. Just get my tool here again and just make sure there's any little bubbles, which I don't think there are this time. And it does definitely help having your bottle sat in something upside down. That really does help to alleviate the bubble situation. But I'm actually really quite happy with that, so I'm going to put that back under, and this will go under for a minimum of 10 minutes, and then I will just test it to make sure. It's always a bit difficult because sometimes you can't really see until it's really cured as to whether you're going to need another coat, but I think I might get away with that. So let's just pop that back underneath. And like I say, the curing deck is a must. To get that from tinypandora.com, that will be a brilliant tool. And these I think are going to look really quite funky as just earrings. I might join those together and have them like that, or like that I suppose, so as they're opposite. But just two simple pieces that I cut off of an end of a cane, and you know, they can make such pretty earrings, and I think they will. So I might do those, and then cure those with some Lisa Pavelka on as well. Pavelka, sorry. But like I say, just make sure that when you're doing it, you know, if you get those edges first, you can't really go wrong, and it really is lovely to see a piece that is all the way over and on the back. And this was just a very, very simple, again probably a last bit of clay, and that was a bit of Magis-Glos that I did, and I just sort of put it on top of there, and I just thought somehow it just looked okay, so I thought I would carry on and make it into a little heart, a pendant. And then I just didn't want to polish it up. I thought, no, that would be really nice covered in resin, and being able to do the back of something I think is brilliant, and that's what these two products are really good for. So easy to use, well worth the money. They're not particularly cheap, but then I think good products shouldn't be, and I do know with this one that there was a lot of research done, but this will last you a long time. Both of them do have shelf lives around about 18 months, but I mean, you know, don't feel rushed to use it necessarily, because I've probably had some of mine for a bit more than that. But you know, it's great because it doesn't have to necessarily just be on polymer clay. You can coat other things with it, so it's a brilliant product, well worth it. So we'll get that piece out in a minute when it's finished, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so this is all finished now, and it's got a lovely clean edge to it, and the resin on both sides. I just think it really lends itself to I think you can probably see that shine. It's just so pretty, and it's just a simple piece of clay that was literally just scrap, which if I probably put it through the pasta machine many more times would have just turned to a horrible grey colour. But I just love that now that can just become very pretty pendant on its own, or you can add some beads, and obviously with these two pieces as well you can make a really nice set. And if you're clever, you could actually make them earrings. I suppose you can't so easily, but just depending on which side you want to use. I quite like both of them, but same with this really. You've got a choice. You could definitely make this double-sided if you wanted to, just a simple cord, and you can have it whichever way you like. So have some fun. Don't be frightened of these products. Whatever you do, there are plenty of videos out there and plenty of questions that, you know, have been answered about it. They are UV. This one is great for doming, and brilliant finish. It will give a much harder. This one is not a doming resin. This is purely a brush on resin, and it is great if you just want to add like a thin coat, which is what I've done on here. Fantastic for doing beads, because you can brush it round the beads, so you've got, you know, you haven't got to worry about any drips or anything like that. And this one obviously is okay for flat surfaces. So have a go and have some fun, and you can get both these products from tinypandora.com, and I shall see you again soon. Bye.